How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Higurashi Chapter 8. And yeah, we're just doing what we've been doing, collecting and connecting them fragments. I don't even remember what we kind of went through in the last episode, except I know that we now know kind of why Dr. Irie went in the direction he did. Other than that, I don't think we found out anything that was really exciting, but I could be wrong. I may have forgotten some important details, which means this is going to be fun, trying to figure out what we can initiate here. So we don't know anything about Sadako's detailed test result, but I believe we know Irie's decision. The discontinuation of Sadako's dissection plan, we don't have that, but we do have that bottom one. We don't have this, not yet. We don't have a dissection yet. I don't think so. Live specimen for research, we don't have that yet. But we do have the tragedy at the damn construction site. The death of the construction site manager, we have that. The hospitalization, we do have this. The second sacrifice. Let's go. Satoshi-kun is a good brother who takes great care of his sister. He went to visit Sadako-chan straight after school and kept encouraging her to get better every day. Without even hearing Satoshi-kun's stories, it's obvious to me that Sadako-chan never had a good relationship with her step-parents. She especially didn't get along with her stepfather. Sadako-chan even called a child abuse hotline once. Not only that, her parents ended up dying in an accident, so she just wasn't able to withstand all that damage. Oh, excuse me. Sadako-chan is still very young, so everything must have been horrible for her to go through. Fortunately, she has a wonderful brother. Emotional wounds are hard to heal, but nothing heals those wounds better than love from family members. I'm sure that one day Sadako-chan will be able to smile again. She's still in shock, but when she talks to Satoshi-kun, she smiles a little bit. Ueshi from the police department keeps requesting to see her, but I think I need to protect her for just a little longer. While he's passionate about his job, I wish he'd just be a touch more sensitive. If he reminds her of her parents' accident, her emotional wounds will start to open up again. And that's the one point I worry about with Sadako-chan. I heard someone knocking on the door. It was Takano-san. It doesn't look right, wearing a nurse's uniform like that. She's a licensed doctor, so she should be wearing a white coat and act like one. Maybe this is fun for her, but I think she might be insulting the real nurses. I didn't say anything though.
Irie-sensei, ちょっとよろしいですか?
ああ、はい。それではサトシ君、私は失礼します。
あ、はい。サトシ君、こんにちは。さとこちゃんと遊んであげててね。ずっと一人でいるから、きっと寂しいと思うの。ね？
そんなことございませんわよ。
ではサトシ君、よろしくお願いします。
I got up and let Satoshi-kun take over.
ところで、何かありましたか？
ここではなんですので、所長室で。
Takano-san smiled meaningfully. Usually, smiles bring happy feelings. But when it comes to Takano-san, that's rarely the case.
それは本当ですか？
ええ。簡易検査の結果、レベル3以上と思われる高い発症レベルの可能性が指摘されました。彼女をさらに入院させ、より精度の高い検査を行う必要があります。結果待ちですが、私の見たところ、レベル4の可能性すらあり得るかと。
Takano-san's eyes sparkled in a weird way. There's a reason for that. For us, finding patients in the terminal stage is a valuable boon to our research. In fact, as a result of dissecting the murder suspect from last year, we've made great progress in our research. Oh, so they did do that? Okay. Well, that might open up another fragment for us. In other words, we finally managed to isolate the pathogen. We also discovered that when the host dies, the pathogen melts away within a few hours. Once that happens, it's undetectable. and that's why we never found the pathogen when we performed autopsies. Our research made a lot of progress after that. What we found in this past year has easily surpassed what the late Dr. Takano found in decades. We're now studying the nature, the effect, and the symptoms of the pathogen, as well as treatments and vaccines. In other words, a living specimen who's at the terminal stage is a necessity for our research. However, we rarely find a patient who's gone that far, who's reached level 5. Hinamizawa syndrome once created a huge number of L5 patients, but today it doesn't have such potency. Because of that, we have to secure L5 patients, or patients who are close to reaching L5 as quickly as possible. Sadako-chan possibly qualifies to be that next sacrifice. To keep this strange disease a secret, we can't let patients who may be at L5 go. We have to run more tests first, then we'll figure out what to do next. In any case, Sadako-chan seems so calm. Her behavior is nothing like the man from last year. Initial tests are in error sometimes. We'll have to wait for the results of more detailed tests to determine how serious her condition is.
わかりました。
経過観察のため、スタッフの皆さんへの手配をお願いいたします。
That sounds like a formal answer, but if the results come back positive, that will be the green light for her dissection. I don't know Sadako-chan that well, but I've known her brother Satoshi-kun through the baseball team for a long time. How could I dissect the apple of Satoshi-kun's eyes? I can feel scary images flashing in my head for the first time.
ご安心を。万事すでに手配させておりますわ。
She smiled as if telling me that the dissection is already being prepared for. Is it just her who's smiling? Am I smiling like her too? When I dissected that man last year, I did feel guilt beforehand. But once I started, it was like I was in paradise. All the pieces of the puzzle that were left by the late Dr. Takano fell into place. And at the same time they didn't. How exciting it was, knowing that we are the first ones to take the first steps to solve a mystery that is. I don't even know how to explain this feeling to those who have never experienced it. There's no way to describe it with words. The only thing I can say is that even a year later, I still remember it vividly. So if the results show that Satoshi-kun's beloved sister is to be dissected, can I control myself? Can I stay calm? But that means I'm a failure of a human being. I know very well that the Hojo family was treated poorly by the villagers, and I know what Sadako-chan had to go through. Also, I know Satoshi-kun loves his sister, who is his one and only blood relative. How can I dissect Sadako-chan, using my research as an excuse? I didn't feel much guilt for the man from last year, but I feel unbearable guilt towards Sadako-chan. That means what I did last year was very sinful. I don't care if a stranger dies, but I don't want Sadako-chan to die. That's not right. All lives are equally precious. I tried to convince myself that he was a violent murderer, but maybe he only became that way because he was at the terminal stage. I don't know anything about him before he became deranged. Maybe he was a model citizen who was worthy of respect. Unfortunately, he became ill and ended up doing what he did. Maybe he was a victim himself, just like my father. I know more about Hinamizawa syndrome than anybody. This disease makes people act in bizarre ways, without those people realizing it. So when the people at the terminal stage do such strange and violent things, one should be sympathetic. I already knew that back when I decided to go down this path. I should have remembered it sooner, but I only did just now. I finally realized what sinful research I'm working on. Sadako Hojo's detailed test results came back. The results say level 5. She's at the terminal stage of the terminal stage. It's actually a surprising result. In last year's case, the patient was extremely deranged. According to Takano-san's records, he complained about itching coming from the lymph nodes all over his body, and wanted to claw at his throat, just as the late Dr. Takano mentioned. But Sadako-chan isn't displaying such symptoms. Even in the late Takano's data, throat clawing is said to be a characteristic symptom of terminal stage patients. However, not all patients experience that symptom. Besides, emotional expression is very different in each person. Even if it's the same emotion, one patient may express it rather violently and another may express it calmly. There's no way of knowing by just looking at a person. But Sadako-chan's detailed test results say that she's at the terminal stage of the terminal stage, level 5. In other words, she may be feeling what the man from last year was feeling. It's just that she isn't expressing that feeling in the same way the man was. Hinamizawa syndrome affects the frontal lobes of the brain. It stimulates the most primitive of emotions, doubt, very strongly. As a result, terminal patients are trapped in delusions and paranoia, and end up committing horrible crimes. Sadako-chan seems to show improvement when she's exchanging friendly words with Satoshi-kun. But there's a paranoia stirring inside her that may put her in a deranged stage at any moment. I can't let her leave the clinic like this. However, if things go according to the manual, I will have to make a decision on her dissection. My decision will only be a formality. I can't actually refuse. Takano-san appears to be already working on the dissection schedule. That plan will then come to me. Would I feel the same way while dissecting Sadako-chan? Would I be able to experience that trance once again? No. The question is, can I fight the temptation? As I pretend to question myself, I'm letting Takano-san prepare things on her own. By doing so, am I passively agreeing to Sadako-chan's dissection? If possible, I want to save Sadako-chan. I don't want her to be a sacrifice for this research. I don't want to dissect her. Then, what about the man from last year? Do I only care about the lives of the people I know? If I don't dissect her, do I let her live and leave the clinic? Do I simply wait for her to become deranged and commit a horrible crime? And then she'll end up here, just like the man from last year, and I'll end up dissecting her anyway. The man from last year was dissected alive and kept that way for several months. With his skull left open, he wasn't allowed to die for several months. He was kept alive just for our cruel experiments. I don't want to do that to her. I don't know what to do. Even debating and agonizing over it is leading toward consent to her dissection by elimination. Yeah, that's rough. I mean, we don't have to sit here and talk about morals and ethics and all that. I mean, we're hopefully all on the same page, right? That is just... that is just rough. It is. Okay, so we know about the dissection. We know that Sadako is being considered for dissection now. So what can we do on this page? So detailed test results. Okay, so I think we can do this. Oh, actually, no, we don't have a decision. He has not made one yet. Okay. And it looks like, according to this, there will be a discontinuation, excuse me, of the dissection plan. So we haven't come up to that yet. We haven't approached the 3rd year yet either. This. We are not ready for that because we don't have help from the Queen Carrier. A live specimen for research is required. A tragedy at the dam construction site is required. Wait, so we did the second sacrifice. We did the second before the first. That's actually kind of interesting because, well, we don't have the live specimen yet. We haven't gotten that. We've heard of it, but have we gotten it? Well, we can go into it anyways. Fuck it, I guess. I was half asleep, so I didn't hear the phone ringing nearby. After a while, I finally realized the phone was ringing, and a ringing phone means there's some kind of emergency. It's 2 in the morning. Who would even call me at this time of night?
もしもし、入江です。
お休みのところ申し訳ございませんわ、入江所長。
It's Takano-san. She's never called me for a personal reason. At the Institute, she's ranked just below me, so she's basically responsible for running it. So for her to call me this late at night, it must be an emergency.
遅くなりました。末期患者が出たというのは本当ですか？
ええ、生きた検体が欲しいと思っていたら本当に運よく。
Okay, so maybe the requirement for this was when they were discussing that they need a live specimen. Either way, we definitely should have gone through this fragment first, but the second one, or the one that we just gotten done with, didn't require this one, which is kind of interesting. I initially thought she had just abducted someone. The man had already been moved to the research area in the clinic's basement. Having been tied down to the examination table, he's struggling against his restraints, but more as though he's deranged than actually resisting. I can't even understand what he's saying. He sounds angry, sorrowful, and like a child throwing a tantrum all at once. It's obvious that he's not in the right state of mind.
とにかく麻酔で眠らせましょう。このままでは自分の舌を飲み込んで窒息しかねません。
もう少し状態を観察したかったのですけれど、仕方ありませんわね。
One of the staff with a white gown got the anesthesia ready. Even a normal person would struggle to escape a restraining table in this suspicious room. But this man's behavior is at an abnormal level. I'm sure Okanogi-san and his friends from the Mountain Dogs are the ones who captured him. Capturing a man in this state of mind couldn't have been an easy task. According to Takano, she ran into this patient on her way home from the clinic by accident. She brought him back here, tested him, and the result came back positive. Of course, I have no intention of just believing what she's telling me, but there is no question that this man is at the terminal stage, and a live specimen is exactly what we need to research the syndrome.
一体この男は何者です？
あの男が持っていた新聞の包み、中に何が入っていたと思います？
これは何です？
There's something wrapped in a bloody newspaper on a tray nearby. Looking at the blood-drenched paper, I can only imagine there is something gruesome inside of it. Oh my god. This is the last guy. This is the last worker. The one who the police never found out about. The missing arm. The one who had the missing arm. Oh my god. Yeah, I guess he was just simply taken here and disposed of. No wonder the police could never find him. Yeah, Takano-san looked like she wanted to surprise me with something interesting.
これはひどい。
It's a bloody right arm. The man on the table still has his. This right arm doesn't belong to him. So who does it belong to? I'm used to looking at things like this as a doctor, but the horrible cross-section makes me want to look away. It wasn't done according to a medically acceptable method, that's for sure. It was obviously done out of cruelty.
状況から考えて、この男が切り取ったものと考えていいでしょうね。
つまり彼は近隣で起こった何らかの事件の犯人ということですね。
At that point, there was no way of knowing who the right arm belonged to. But the next morning, the dismemberment murder of the dam construction site director was reported, and they mentioned that his right arm was still missing. So we learned who the arm belonged to.
この男、前科者だそうで、しかもその上、執行猶予期間中だとか。にもかかわらず、また罪を犯してしまうなんて。それで、殺人の発覚を恐れて、遺体を隠そうと思ったのでしょうね。
状況にもよるでしょうが、懲役数年で済むというものではなさそうですね。
入江所長も、こんな社会のクズが相手なら、解剖に躊躇はないのでは？
社会のクズがさらに犯罪を重ね、さらにその上、Hinamizawa症候群で凶暴化したのか、それとも、前科を悔いる善良な小市民が、Hinamizawa症候群で凶暴化して罪を犯したのか、どちらかは分かりません。前者ならともかく、後者ならば、彼には何の罪もありませんよ。
That's why Hinamizawa syndrome is so terrifying. We can't tell if the syndrome is the cause of the crime, or if it's simply a problem of a human nature. But what causes a defect of human nature in the first place, And that was precisely Irie's area of research. Hate the crime, not the criminal. Can criminals only be corrected by punishing them with imprisonment? If a person commits a crime because of a mental disorder, but then gets treatment, he is corrected. In other words, there are no crimes in this world, only patients awaiting treatment without anyone else being able to understand them. In medieval times, patients with mental disorders were said to be possessed by demons, and they were either confined or killed. Centuries after, they were finally acknowledged as mentally ill people who needed treatment. Perception can change with time. Even if they are called criminals now, maybe after several centuries, those criminals will be Those criminals will be acknowledged as patients who were entitled to appropriate treatment. Explaining crimes through illness instead of malice. That's my life's work. Hinamizawa syndrome is a strange disease that can support my theory. Solving its mysteries is extremely important to me. To solve those mysteries, I need a medical sacrifice. It's an extremely sinful thing to do, but there's no way to unravel this without it. The Irie Institute was authorized to take such drastic measures if necessary, and that's why I asked about it so many times when I accepted the position of director. And finally, the opportunity is here. This will be the first step of our research on this strange disease. But even now, I am a little hesitant. I've opened up human bodies in many surgeries. What I'll be doing on this man is something very similar. But there's also something that's very different. What I did before was part of treatment. I did it to save the patients' lives. I did it so the patients could have a better future. But what I'm trying to do here isn't treatment. He will die at the end of it. His death will be far from humane. I'm going to violate nature and force him to stay alive while I open up his living brain.
入江所長、聞いてらっしゃいます？
すみません。もう一度お願いします。
解剖計画書を提出し、東京に応援を要請した方が良いかと思います。何しろ、単に生きてるだけでなく、末期症状を起こしている大変貴重な検体ですもの。慎重な解剖が求められますわね。
そうですね。おっしゃる通りです。そのようにしましょう。
それまでに数日の猶予があると思います。そこで麻酔を解いていくつかの反応実験をしてみたいのですが。
危険ではありませんか？たとえ拘束を解かなくても何が起こるかわかりませんよ。
ようやく手に入った検体なんですもの。ただ脳を覗くだけじゃもったいないですわ。
Takano-san's unusual cheerfulness made me feel cold. Maybe her reaction is normal. Maybe I am the one who's not reacting normally in this situation. I'm here only for the research. Should I be excited to have the opportunity to perform our first live dissection? But I'm still hesitant. How can I call myself a researcher? Researchers of the past were brave enough to cross the line, and that's how they accomplished many things. I've seen many brains, I've operated on them. I've lost some patients too, but I never thought anything of it, because I knew I did the right thing, even when my hard work was denied afterwards. If it pained me to think of that, then I just needed to advance the field of medicine to ensure their deaths weren't wasted. That's the true form of those advancing the field of medicine. Yet why was my heart tormented so much just by changing the name of treatment to dissection? Does it mean I'm not man enough to emulate those great men of the past who opened the doors to new medicine? That I don't have the power to develop new advances myself?
あら、どうなさいましたの、所長。お休みのところを無理に起こしてしまったので、ご気分が優れませんのかしら？
Takano is pretending to be concerned about me, but she knows. She knows I'm still hesitating, and she's telling me that I should be ashamed as a researcher for feeling that way. I shook my head to clear it of sleepiness. Remember the resolve that brought me here to this day. I already have blood on my hands, but if I stop now, their lives will be wasted. Those who shed their blood can only rest in peace, Once they've become the cornerstones of great research. I shook my head once more and reminded myself that I'm a researcher.
いえ、考え事をしていただけです。高野さんは東京との調整をお願いいたします。日程が決まりましたら教えてください。
ええ、了解いたしましたわ。眠気も吹っ飛んでしまいますわね。
The least I can do is my best, so his life won't be wasted. If he bleeds, I can't waste even a drop of his blood. After scolding my staff for their indiscretion of discussing the dissection with such excitement, I returned to my office. I mean, I understand his hesitation. Again, we don't have to talk about morals, ethics, what is right, what is wrong. I think we're all on the same page here. Maybe. I hope. Okay, what else can we do here? Rika's father being marked as an opportunist. That's the third sacrifice. We're not there yet. And Rika's mother's suspicion. Yeah, we don't have either of those. We don't have this one, but okay, so we have the first and second sacrifice, which come from the first and second years of the Watanagashi festival. Very interesting. And this, I mean, we can probably deduce that we're going to probably have somebody that was involved there, probably Rika's father or mother, one of the two, be dissected. Fun. And here, I don't know. It could be that one guy. I think in that incident, wasn't it like they were pinning it on like some weirdo who may have actually been the murderer and not Satoshi? I don't know. I don't know about that one. But Satoshi did get picked up by the mountain dogs. I'm fairly certain on that one. Let's go over to page 2 here. So we don't have help from the queen carrier, distrust of the mother of a queen. We don't have any of those. Research needs to have stagnated. Instructions for the kidnapping operation. Okay, so research being stagnated, yes. That is something that we have, but instructions for the kidnapping operation? I don't think we have that. Accident at the park. Satoshi must not be allowed to visit his sister. We haven't been told that. But we do have the sense of responsibility out of Satoshi. Mysterious death at the Furude couple. We're not there yet. Not yet. There was the declaration of war with Ueshi, but we don't have an execution order. We don't have this either. What else we got going on? So, prior consent for the collection of fluid is required. I don't think we have that. Disappointment. Death of Koizumi Sensei. We don't have that one. We don't have that. Rika Furude's high fever. No, we don't have either of those. No fevers yet. A bottle of wine for a toast. Okay, so we're already failing that one. There's a promise and a draft of emergency manual. Neither of those. Depression of a Shinto priest. Rika and Sotoko's shopping trip. We have that. The Shinto priest contacting the Idiate institution. We don't have that. Suffering of a big brother. Rock candy as a treat. We have that. And detailed test results. We do have that, so we can do this one. Nice. Never mind. Okay. Oh my god, it broke it. Holy shit. It broke the fragment. I wonder what that means. Okay. Well, that's lovely. Satoshi's part-time job. Wait, we do have that. Rock candy is a treat. I thought that was the thing that... Whatever. What the fuck do I know? I thought the rock candy was as a treat was what gave... of what Rika gave to Sotoko. Okay, but now we know what it looks like whenever, you know, we choose a fragment that can't be viewed yet. Whoopsies. Okay, we're not ready for that one, I can already tell. Ryugu family's move and fourth year's curse. We don't have that. Don't have that either. Awareness of his sins. We do have that, right? No? I don't think we have that. Because we don't have the mysterious death of the Furude couple. Not yet. We're not ready to meet Keiichi. A red capsule is required. Strawberry milk candy. That's what I was thinking about. So we can meet Mion. Okay, we can at least do this one. Okay, that's what it was. I'm sorry. I'm forgetful, like I said. Mion-san, your friend is here. I heard the housekeeper's voice. Our house and the front yard are huge, so unlike normal houses, ringing a doorbell or yelling my name repeatedly, asking to play won't work.
はいはい。ありがとうございます。どなたです？
Rika Furude-chama.
来たね来たね。ばっちゃんにリカちゃまが来たって伝えてもらえます？多分、あっちの縁側にいると思います。私はスイカを引き上げてきますね。
Granny received many beautiful watermelons from somebody, so she wanted to share. I just called the Furude house a short time ago, and Rika-chan is here to pick one up. Did she come here on her bicycle? I can't remember if it has a big enough basket. I pulled the watermelon from the well while thinking about that. The cold water in the well has refrigerated the watermelon, and the condensation makes it look delicious. The 3 members of the Furude family will enjoy it for at least 2 nights.
お持ち帰りだったのですか。僕はてっきり。
あれ？おじさんそう言わなかったっけ？
The priest answered the phone, and I thought I told him to come pick it up. Maybe I wasn't clear enough, or maybe he misunderstood me completely. But she's here to eat the watermelon, not to take it home. Besides, the small basket on Rika-chan's bicycle won't hold the watermelon, and it's too dangerous for her to ride while holding it in her hands.
ミオン、お前リカちゃまんちまで超持ってたらな。スイカ片手な自転車なんこがれんて。
僕だってスイカくらい持てますのですよ。
危な危な。リカちゃまに何かあったらお社様に申し訳立たんね。うちのミオンが運ぶんね。任せたったら。
はいはい。任せられたったら。じゃあついでに神主さんにご挨拶でもしてこようかね。
No matter whether she rides or pushes her bicycle, Rika-chan's hands will be occupied. So I'm gonna carry the watermelon. The sky is turning auburn in the sunset. The cool breeze feels good on my sandaled feet. The plastic bag I'm carrying contains the watermelon, and also some small bags of rock candy. There we go. There's the fucking rock candy. If her mother finds them, she'll take them away, so we decided to eat them before we got to her home. We opened the bags and enjoyed the rock candy. Rika-chan isn't an exception. Whenever kids from our neighborhood come to our house for errands, Granny gives them some treats. Actually, it's a pretty common rule here in Hinamizawa. It's funny, but sometimes when parents aren't watching, siblings will fight over who gets to take the circular notice to the next house over. So these bags of rock candy are like tips for them. Of course, she doesn't normally give out this much. Usually it's just a little piece of it. Granny is being extra nice to Rika-chama.
僕だけこんなにいろいろお駄賃をもらうと他の人に悪い気がしますです。
別に気にすることないんじゃない？お駄賃は好意みたいなもんなんだもん。変に断るよりは子供らしくありがとうって言って笑顔を見せる方がよっぽどいいと思うけどね。
ミーはお駄賃をよくもらいますですか？
昔はね。でもさすがにこの年になったらもらわなくなったな。今もらうとなんだか子供扱いされてるみたいでかえってカチンとくるかな。
僕は子供扱いなのです。
いいじゃんいいじゃん。もらえるうちにもらっとけばいい。私くらいになれば欲しくてももらえなくなるんだからさ。
As we talked about ordinary things, I noticed Rika-chan seemed a little sad.
どうしたの？
僕はお買い物に行ってもよくお駄賃に飴をもらいますが、さとこは一緒に行ってももらえませんです。
I can think of so many reasons why. Not only Sadako, but everyone in the Hojo family is being treated poorly in Hinamizawa. And the Sonozaki family are the ones who instigated that. The 2 dam supporters have died in an accident already. But the malice against the Hojo family is still going. It's directed against Sadako and Satoshi, their children, and the aunt and uncle who are taking care of them. The big fight between the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family at the explanatory meeting started all this. But that was the Hojo couple, and it shouldn't have anything to do with the children and their aunt and uncle. But the idea that the Hojo family are traitors evolved on its own. Therefore, anyone bearing the Hojo name is to be treated poorly. The aunt and uncle weren't dam supporters, so over time the attacks towards them should have stopped. But they're rather odd, and they keep having trouble with their neighbors. They don't follow the community rules, they don't do their community duties, and they spray pesticide while their neighbor's laundry is still hanging outside. They often get into fights with the other villagers. They'd be hated even without the dam. Therefore, the Hojo family continues to be treated poorly. But none of that should have anything to do with Sadako and Satoshi. Sadako and Satoshi are often depressed at school. I tried to leave the conflict between the two families aside, but I wonder how they really feel about that. From their point of view, I'm just another member of the family that keeps harassing them.
せめて学校にはそんな雰囲気を持ち込ませたくない。だから私はそういう風に振る舞ってるつもりだよ。
それを学校の中だけでなく外にも広げるにはどうしたらいいのですか？
That'd be pretty difficult. The Hojo family made enemies of the three families. They were branded as traitors, and that's still considered the truth. It wouldn't mean anything if one person suggested an end to the hostilities just because the events around the dam are history now. On the contrary, that would just put them in the same position. Unfortunately for Sadako and Satoshi, the only thing they can do is wait patiently until the issue withers away. All I can do for them is provide an oasis until that day comes.
では、聡子たちはいつまで耐え忍べばいいのですか？
わかんない。ダム戦争は数年に及んだ。その時に押された烙印を払拭するんだから、それと同じ年数はかかるかもしれないね。
それはつまり、聡子たちが大人になるまで誰にも許してもらえないということですか？聡子が子供のうちはずっと村中から冷たい目で見られていろということですか？
それはあまりにも辛いね。
みー、僕たちは聡子やサトシの仲間なのですよね。
そうだよ。私にとってだって仲間だよ。
なら僕たちの仲間を救うために僕たちに何かできることはないのでしょうか？
私たちに何ができるんだろうね。
Well, first we need to meet a guy named Keiichi Maibara. Even if the Sonozaki family declares that the dam conflict is over, so the Hojo family are no longer outcasts, that won't solve the problem. It's not that simple. In the first place, Granny hates the Hojo family and won't suffer their name to be mentioned in her presence. It's not a matter of someone forgiving another. It's a matter of very complicated ties between the people in this village. Excuse me. It's absolutely terrifying to have them as your enemies. Everyone knows that very well, and that's why they maintain good relationships with their neighbors. However, if you make enemies out of them, you'll have to face the consequences. And that's the unwritten law of the Japanese community. And the Sonozaki family is part of this unwritten law. Now that the Hojo family are outcasts, not even the Sonozaki family can overturn the situation.
Hinamizawaのことは、Hinamizawaの人間にはどうしようもないということなのでしょうか？
悲しいけど、そういうこともあるかもしれない。もし、聡子を救う人が現れてくれるとしたら、それは、村のしがらみにとらわれない、そういう人なんだろうね。でも、そんな人、村にはいない。
Not yet.
村の外から誰かが助けに来なければ救われないということですか？
Like Rika-chan says, would a knight in shining armor from the outside world ever come here? Would that person bring in a new wind into this village that has been filled with stale air for hundreds of years? No way. That's just wishful thinking. Time will solve the problem someday. Until then, I have to be their ally. I can't think of anything else I can do for them. As Rika-chan and I crunched on our rock candy, we can only pray that people will forgive Sadako and her family sooner rather than later. Rika-chan gently broke the heavy silence.
きっと村の外からしがらみにとらわれない人がやってきます。
そうだね。ダム戦争も終わったんだから、 また分譲地に外から人が引っ越してきてくれるといいね。近い年の転校生とか来れば楽しいだろうに。
来ます、きっと。そして彼と力を合わせて私たちは村の悪兵を打ち破るのです。それが私たちの未来を閉ざす3つの錠前に対する。
え？何それ？なんかの小説？
Rika-chan says some odd things sometimes. When she talks that way, she seems so mature. I even start to doubt she's really younger than I am. Haha, well... The unreasonable antagonism towards the Hojo family. Will there really be someone from the outside who will shatter our old traditions? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there will be. Just you wait. Okay, so with this one, we should be able to do the fragment I just, tried to go into, but wasn't allowed to go into. Or at least I hope. What if trying to select it early prevented us from ever going into it? That would suck some ass. Well, we're going into it. A group of boys are playing baseball under the powerful sun. The sound of cicadas makes the heat stand out even more, but to those boys, it's just another kind of cheering from the crowds. Of course, they go through training exercises to build stamina, but the boys don't actually like such routine activities. What they look forward to the most is the free game after practice. The school in Hinamizawa is actually borrowed from the forestry service. The schoolyard is made of gravel, and it's not very appropriate for playing sports on. Compared to that, the grounds at the school in Okonomiya are properly maintained for athletic activities, so the kids grow even more energetic when they come here. Kids from Hinamizawa really don't care if the ground is made of gravel or not. The other instructor is watching the game, so I decided to go get some drinks for the team.
監督、どこへ行くんですか？
皆さんにジュースを買ってこようと思いまして、もしよかったらサトシ君も手伝ってくださるととても助かるのですが。
はい、お手伝いします。
Satoshi-kun decided to come along with me. Sometimes kids don't like what grown-ups choose, so I'm glad he agreed to help. Satoshi-kun and I got in the car and headed to the grocery store nearby.
監督、聡子の具合はどうなんですか？
ええ、経過は良好ですよ。本当にゆっくりとですが、聡子ちゃんの心の傷も癒えてきています。もう少しだけ安静にしてあげた方がいいでしょう。
It's natural for Satoshi-kun to be worried. Sadako-chan has been in the hospital for over 2 weeks. Of course, he doesn't know his sister has Hinamizawa syndrome. Not only that, she's almost at level 5. She could become deranged at any moment. He believes she's depressed because of the shock of their parents' accident. He came to the clinic every day to cheer his sister up. The Sadako-chan has become emotionally unstable and was showing some dangerous symptoms, so we called off the visits. In fact, Sadako-chan is not doing so well. Level 5, the stage Sadako-chan is at, is a very abnormal one. The man from last year who was at the same stage was acting so abnormal that even a drug addict in his final stages would have turned and ran. There's no guarantee Sadako-chan won't fall into the same condition. When we performed the autopsy on that man last year, we learned the true identity of the syndrome and gained a great understanding of its mechanisms. We even discovered, some important facts that may lead to the development of a cure. However, we have yet to find a method of actually curing the disease. So if Sadako-chan becomes unrecoverable, we may have to dissect her, just like we did the man from last year. How can I tell Satoshi-kun about his sister's situation? All I can do is make vague comments and lie to him that she's recovering. What if she becomes much worse? That would make me an unforgivable liar. The tiny bit of conscience that remains in me hurts.
もし監督の診療所のご迷惑でなければ、もうしばらく入院させてもらった方がいいかもしれません。
それはどういう意味ですか？
I thought he wanted her to come home as soon as possible, so I'm a little surprised.
いえ、実はあまりおばさん一家とも馴染めていないんです。
聡子ちゃんがご両親とあまり良い関係ではなかったと聞いていましたが、新しく預けられたおばさん夫婦ともなのですか？
聡子は
大人にはあまり心を開かないので。
Satoshi-kun has told me about their family background. Their mother's constant remarriages wounded her children deeply, and Satoshi-kun was able to overcome it, but Sadako-chan was too young to be able to do that. That left her traumatized, and she now has the tendency to distrust or dislike guardians who aren't related to her. Actually, nobody would like a guardian who isn't related to them. It's not just Sadako-chan, but usually people try to deal with that even if they don't like it. I guess Sadako-chan's not capable of that.
おじさんはあまり家に帰ってこないし、いても寝てるかテレビを見てるかなので、そんなに問題はないんですが、
Yet.
おばさんがものすごく聡子に絡むんです。
どうしてそんなに嫌われてしまったんでしょうね。
I can guess why. Sadako-chan's parents were damn proponents, and because of that, the villagers considered the aunt and uncle part of the Hojo family. Excuse me. And ostracized them as such. Moreover, they passed away suddenly in an accident and left 2 children behind. So I guess there would be more hate there than gratitude. If she had been obedient like Satoshi-kun, everything would have been fine. But Sadako-chan can't be that way. She shows that in her attitude and expressions, which leads to her and her aunt having a big fight.
僕もおばさんに聡子の事情を説明してはいるのですが、なかなか分かってもらえなくて。
その度に聡子ちゃんをかばってあげるサトシ君はお兄さんの鏡だと思いますよ。今や聡子ちゃんにとって唯一の肉親はサトシ君だけなのかもしれませんからね。
そうですね。そんな気がしてます。
Satoshi-kun said with a slight hint of a sigh. He doesn't say it, but it seems Satoshi-kun has grown tired of having to cover for Sadako-chan every time she and her aunt fight. He's a good person, as well as a good big brother, so I'm sure he'll do anything to cover for his sister. But that's a very exhausting thing to do forever. Satoshi-kun was already doing that when their parents were alive, and eventually his mental equilibrium couldn't handle the strain. He grew sick, and he visited my clinic. I thought his circumstances might have improved after their initial cause. His parents were gone. But it seems things were even worse than before.
わかりました。そんな状況で聡子ちゃんを退院させたらまた心の症状がぶり返してしまうかもしれませんね。入院費のことは気にしないでください。聡子ちゃんが本当の意味で回復するまで私が責任を持ってお預かりします。
While trying to pretend I'm listening to his request, I feel a little disgusted at myself for making such selfish excuses. I'll make sure? Takano-san is working on her dissection plan as we speak.
お願いできると僕も少しだけ助かります。
はい？
いえ、聡子がもうしばらく入院しててくれたら、僕もその分気が楽だなって思っただけです。
それはどういう意味ですか？
聡子が帰ってきたら、どうせまたおばと喧嘩をするだろうと思います。そうしたらまた喧嘩や怒鳴り声ばかりの日になって、僕もそれに巻き込まれるのかなって思うと、聡子はずっと入院しててくれるのが一番僕にとって気楽なことなんじゃないかって嫌になります。
サトシ君。
Satoshi-kun is a great big brother who always sticks up for his little sister. But that doesn't mean he doesn't feel burdened.
そんなことを考えてしまうなんて、僕はなんて悪い兄なんだろうって思います。
Shit, I feel it. Don't worry, bro. We got you.
そうだと思えば思うほど自分が嫌になって。
Satoshi-kun said, sniffling once. His expression was one of anguish, as if truly feeling his own sin. His desire to be a model big brother is putting himself under greater pressure. I feel bad for Sadako-chan, but I also feel bad for Satoshi-kun in a different way. As someone who knows the both of them very well, I feel that I must be their ally, since they don't have anyone else who cares about them. Okay, so I think this unlocked 2 things, because he was told that he can't visit his sister right now, which makes sense. Sadako is level 5, that's kind of difficult. And he feels like he's committing a sin, I think. So he doesn't have a job. So yeah, his sins, the forgiveness of Rena's sins. Okay, we don't have that. What else we got going on? I'm just kind of curious. We'll end it here, but I'm thinking we're coming up on being able to do this, but we need the mysterious death of the Furude couple. We don't have a red capsule, and these seem to all be... Yeah, this is all, like, endgame shit. Okay. So we'll loop back to the beginning. I think maybe we can do this? Has the doctor made a decision? I don't know. I don't know. I actually do not know. But then this is the red capsule. That'll lead to some other things. We're making progress. But I did get a strike. Strike one. I did choose the wrong fragment. Let's see if it happens again, you know? There's no strike system. I'm just fucking with you guys. But I try not to make too many mistakes. I'm trying to make sure I'm following along and seeing what we can jump into and all that. But yeah, this was a good one. Learned about our sacrifices or whatever. And a little bit, you know, I like the perspectives from Irie. I really do. There's a lot of dilemmas going on all at once. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, this was a good episode. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I will see you all in the next episode. Take it easy.